Hello, namaste, beautiful inquiring souls. I'm really excited to bring you this video today because it's another one of these topics that is at the core fundamental heart of what I absolutely love teaching through Earth Clinic and school. So my students and also students, aspiring students of holistic medicine that I meet along the way often ask me why it is that I and Roop incorporate teaching students about working with earth energies, working with the elements, and really, getting into the wisdom and intelligence of nature and of the earth. Why is this so important to the work that we do, and why do we include it in our teacher training programs? So I'm going to answer this first by sharing something which I guess you're all going to know, but it's about how we integrate this beingness. How do we drop into this beingness more like it? How do we use this information that we know on a cognitive level to actually just be that? So we are nature. We absolutely are made of up of the same fundamental building blocks, molecules, atoms, energy, information that everything else in nature is made of. And so when we access this information through the breath or through doing light work or whatever way that we access this information or energy, we are literally bringing in that information that can create a life. We're bringing that into our system. And so this information is abundant with wisdom and knowledge that is the same wisdom and knowledge that teachers, masters, gurus, rishis that went and lived in caves for many, many years. It's the same information that's been downloaded by all of these beings that has been brought to us as sacred knowledge and sacred wisdom. But we also have the ability to access that. We don't need to just rely on or wait for somebody else that appears in a more spiritual way to us. We can access that information ourselves. And so where does nature come into this? Well, we can share information with nature, and through sharing this information, we literally can influence and benefit our own field, our own system, our own energetic state, our own emotional state, our own biophysical state. So for example, the microbiome, bacteria, healthy bacteria that lives in the gut and lives all over the body. At a fundamental level, we are exchanging information with this bacteria. And the bacteria that lives in our body is crucial for the proper functioning of so many of our bodily functions. Certain hormones are absolutely created by specific types of bacteria. The bacteria is interfacing with our biophysiological system and informing us of what's going on in the outside world, informing us of what's going on in our inside world, and literally helping us to create life within ourselves, helping us to be in balance and be regulated. Bacteria helps to regulate our immune system. It helps to just make sure that we are protected against invaders coming into the body. So that's one example that how on a physical level, nature literally interacts with us, gives us information that we can utilize to positively influence our health. Okay, but this is happening on so many other levels, on an emotional level and on an energetic level as well. So on an emotional level, there are so many, again, ways that nature can influence our emotional state. So, plants and water emit negatively charged ions, and this helps us to diffuse energy, neutralize energy more like it, and that helps us to feel less frazzled and less anxious and brings us into a state of calm and relaxation. And again, there are so many studies that are going into this in detail. The wisdom of nature as well, the spirit of the plants and the animals, also share and exchange information with us and help to guide us and protect us so that we are not alone in this universe. And so being able to communicate with the plants and with the animals, maybe not like an animal whisperer where you can literally interpret the thoughts or tap into this on a psychic level, what an animal is saying or what a plant is saying, although that is also possible. But what I'm talking about is I'm talking about on a level that we may not see, hear, or feel. Maybe you've been drawn to a particular animal in your lifetime. Maybe you've been drawn to particular types of crystals. Maybe you've been drawn to particular types of plants. This is an example of how an exchange may be happening here between you and nature that you might not even be aware of. You might not even think that you feel, but on some level is actually happening. So the other reason why we teach our students to work with the energies in the earth, the dragon lines, the ley lines, is because when we feel this fundamental energy that is alive within the earth, it reminds us and teaches us that we are connected to the earth. If we can feel those energies, then we can connect to those energies. And if we can connect to those energies, then we can influence those energies. Now, what incredible miracles can happen if we can literally influence the energies of nature all around us? I'm just going to leave that one there. And this leads on to my next point, which is as we start to connect more with nature and we understand that we can connect with nature, we can influence nature, that nature does interface with us, exchanges information with us, helps us to function better, helps us to feel better. When that becomes a natural part of our reality, then the lines, the boundaries between us and other start to break down. And we start to recognize that fundamentally, I am nature, and there is no separation between me and my environment, that we are all one. And when that starts to happen, our consciousness literally transcends into a completely new type of reality. We no longer are in turmoil and confusion about things that we used to have to really think a lot about. So for example, thinking about using natural products or eating organic, or thinking about how we treat nature and dumping toxins into the environment, how we bring our children up, how we interact with our family and our communities. Things that used to be of massive debate in our own mind, as to whether these things are even important, now just become a natural knowing and realization that absolutely there are so many important things for us to experience in life, to consider and to evolve into, that are going to bring us into the level of existence that is needed for us to move into the new way, to move into this new way of being that we are actually naturally evolving into, but some of us are kind of being dragged in, kicking and screaming. So think about those debates that you have with people in your family that are like, well, is organic really better and it's more expensive, and does it actually do anything? And these debates that you can go into about waste that we're in, and does it really matter if we're going to be creating this level of waste because we recycle and all that kind of stuff. It just becomes sort of something that you just don't need to even talk about. You don't even need to remember to do. It becomes such an innate part of who you are that you just recycle. You just use natural products. Like, there is no question, there's no debate to get into with anybody. It's just a choice that I make because I'm a part of nature, and That is what nature does. Nature creates natural beauty. Nature creates love and bliss and joy and is graceful and elegant. And that is how we flow naturally. So when these boundaries and lines become blurred between us and nature, and we become nature, we come into oneness, into love. And this state of being completely shifts our experience on earth. We no longer are so heavily affected by the nuances of life. We're no longer dragged down by the insecurities or the little things that kind of take us away from self, because we have learned to experience, enjoy, and embed within our natural state of being, within this unified state of being. We just naturally radiate from this state. We are naturally contented with what we have because we are flowing, we are in flow and in alignment with nature. We are no longer susceptible to the pull and the influence of ego energy because we are in oneness. We no longer recognize that separation is needed within our lives, or that unity is where we're at, because that separation that we experienced, it was absolutely beautiful and needed to teach us and to show us the other. And now that we have seen that, we have understood the nature of duality, of light and dark and good and bad and all of these kind of dualistic qualities, now that we've understood that, we can, with all of that wisdom and knowledge, we can just be in oneness and still see and observe duality and appreciate it for what it is. But we can now be in ground into our oneness, and this is bringing us into a completely different experience of life. So beautiful. And why we teach working with the elements? Well, because when we work with the elements, what we are saying is, I am unified with nature. I am at one with nature. And I recognize that these elements make up this physical reality, literally create the physical reality, the world, this construct. And so when I work with those elements, I offer those elements to the divine. I play with those elements. I have them on my altar. I make ceremony with those elements. What I'm saying is, I am the creator of my world, and I am going to utilize these elements to literally create, manipulate, and manifest this physical reality and drop into the timeline that is the most favorable for me. Because when we come into this unified consciousness, this cosmic consciousness, the consciousness which is the resonance of the heart soul energy, no longer influenced and distracted by the pull of the ego. When we come into this as a natural dominant state, I'm not saying 100% of the time, but I'm saying as a natural dominant state, we naturally and truly become the creators of our world, because that is a natural part of who we are, a natural part of what we recognize is our innate fundamental nature, our law of nature, law of the universe. So we create from that point, we flow and we manifest from that point, and the flow state no longer becomes something that we aspire to or we acquire. It is something that we are. Flow is what we create, but it is the creator itself. So I hope that this has shed some light on why we incorporate working with earth and earth energies and the elements in the work that we do. And if you ever want to find out more, please get in touch, send me a direct message, and I would love to fill you in on the beautiful courses that we have in holistic medicine and energy medicine. But in any case, please just leave a comment below. I would love to connect with you. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.